Hey guys, how y'all doing? BionicleSaurus here, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at the brand spanking new Safari Ltd Prestosuchus. This is an early release, an early look at a 2019 figure from Safari, and it is worth mentioning as a little disclaimer that this is technically a quote-unquote early production sample. A prototype, essentially. As far as I see it, it's unlikely that there would be any major changes between this and the final version, but just in case there are, I think it's worth mentioning that at the beginning of the video. Before we talk about anything else on this figure, I want to touch upon the sculpted detail. The texture, the scalation, it's amazing, it's beautiful, it is, dare I say, spectacular. I mean, good lord. Ooh, I just noticed there's some, nice, purposeful kind of asymmetry to the scales on top of the head. Looks very natural and lifelike. That is one thing about this figure. It's not just oh, let's cover it in completely uniform scales. There are areas that are like that, but they work because they contrast the fact that there are many different sizes of scales, and there are rougher, more asymmetrical areas with more gnarly-looking thick scales and scutes and osteoderms. Very crocodilian, very prehistoric, so crisp and well sculpted. Good lord. Just look at the back. The back has to be the best example. It has the smallest, finest scales and some of the largest scales, and they're so well sculpted. This is just some crisp, beautiful detail, plain and simple. It is amazing to look at. It makes the paint job almost irrelevant. This is so good, the paint job wouldn't even matter. But of course, the paint job makes it even better, but we'll get to that later. For now, let's just show a few more nice little shots of the sculpt here. Take a look at those teeth. And the eye. Nothing is messy or muddled or smudged. I have complained in the past about companies making prehistoric crocodilians stylized in a manner very similar to the way that modern crocodilians look. My main complaint has been in terms of artistic originality. I'd really like to see an ancient crocodile done in a more unique, more original way, something that really shows it to be its own animal and not just a prehistoric version of something we already know. And so, if I was just looking at the sculpt of this thing, I might have similar complaints. I might be wishing for some more unique scalation, since we don't really know what this thing looked like when it was alive, and a slightly more unique, less modern crocodile-inspired interpretation would be neat. However, the paint job makes this sculpt truly shine, and the contrast of a very crocodilian-like sculpt, but a very bright and ultimately beautiful color scheme just makes this figure pop. It makes it so striking. So let's talk about the colors right now. The color scheme on the top of the animal and on the majority of the limbs looks pretty standard. It's a combination of various shades of greenish brown, dark brown, and even some nice golds. It's really beautiful, it's very nuanced, the blending of all the different shades of paint looks great, but at the end of the day, it's nothing overly remarkable. However, what makes it look so good is that they took something that you see on a lot of reptiles, including many modern crocodilians, and that is a white belly, and they extended it up the sides of the animal. I love the way they took that light, basically pure white, I guess it's a bit more maybe a cream color, and they have it just flooding up the flanks, the sides of the tail, even onto the face. It's so unique, and it makes this figure just stand out. I didn't realize just how beautiful and striking this color scheme was until I put this figure on my shelf. My top shelf has been recently reconfigured, and I'll make a video showing it soon. It's been reconfigured so that all of my Wild Safari, or Safari Prehistoric World figures rather, are all together, and this thing is around, some ceratopsia and some other things that we know and love, and it really jumps out at you when you just glance at the shelf. It is so bright without actually using many colors. It's mostly just that contrast between dark and light that makes it stand out in such a great way. And again, it contrasts so well with the sculpt. The sculpt looks like a slightly more active, more almost mammalian, I suppose, crocodilian, and then you add that paint and it turns it into something so unique, so unknown, prehistoric, so beautiful. It just adds so much life and punch to the way this thing looks as an artistic piece. In terms of the animal, I think the genus choice is really cool. This was an ancient Brazilian Middle Triassic Pseudotsuchian. I don't know much about it or its relatives, I'll be honest. I can't comment on accuracy a whole lot and anatomy and all that. I'm not terribly knowledgeable with crocodilians in the broad scheme of things, but overall I can tell that they did a darn good job with the majority of the anatomy, and it's just cool to see something like this that's not a Prestosuchus, because that is the one member of this family that everybody knows, and this is honestly a really obscure genus choice. I'm proud of Safari for going for that. Overall, the way this figure looks is just amazing. The pose is simple but fluid, the detail in the sculpt is mind-blowingly well done, the paint is unique. I don't mind any of these black splotches or patterns, really. I don't think they're all that distracting. I think they look perfectly fine. There are so few things I don't absolutely love about this figure. The overall quality is fantastic. The only little quality issue I've found is that I already managed to chip some paint off of this arm, as you can see. I'm imagining that's more my fault than Safari's, and this is an early production sample, so I really wouldn't worry about it all that much. As far as size is concerned, let me just bring in here the Safari Ltd Utyrannus and Caprasuchus. As you can see, nothing too unusual or unexpected about the size of the Prestosuchus. It's just about what you would expect. I would like to take a quick moment to highlight the fact that Safari is not only a great company, they're always getting better, they're always improving their figures. Look, I love the Caprasuchus, I do, and I think the sculpted detail on it is still fantastic and holds up very, very well, but look at the paint around the gums and teeth. Look at the overall crispness of the detail. This is better. This is a notable improvement, which, you know, stands to reason since this thing is like 8 years old now, but it's still just cool to see that no matter how good a figure is, there can always be a better successor to it with Safari, and gosh, it's cool to look at how things change over time. So, my final rating for the Safari Ltd 2019 Prestosuchus is a 10 out of 10. This thing is an easy 10, in fact. This is just a beautiful figure. It's easily some of Safari's best work, especially in the sculpt and in the paint, in my opinion. And overall, this is just one of the most unexpected and beautiful figures I've ever laid my eyes upon. If you would like to purchase any of Safari Limited's currently released figures, not this one quite yet, sorry, hopefully very soon, I would imagine it's coming out just a few months away, but if you would like to purchase any of their currently released figures, you can do so at their website, safariltd.com, or at amazon.com/safariltd. Thank you for watching, and BionicleSaurus signing out.